In this lesson, you will learn how to solve word problems involving percents. So first, just let's look at some different types of ways of finding the percent of a number. And if we're given an amount of $30 and we want to find 20% off, the first thing you have to do with all percents is write them as a decimal. So that would be 0.20 or 0.2. So in method 1, to find 20% off of 30, I would take 30 times 0.20 move the decimal point over twice to get $6, and because it's 20% off, I would take 30 minus 6 and I get a final answer of $24. So if you were purchasing an item that originally cost $30 and it says 20% off, excluding tax, the amount that you would pay is $24. So this is one way that $24 could be calculated. Another way that $24 could be calculated, method 2, is instead of starting with multiplication, we're going to start with subtraction. But what we're going to subtract are the percentages. From 100%, I'm going to subtract 20%. We always subtract from 100, and the amount that we subtract is the percent that it's off. So 100% minus 20% is 80%. As a decimal, it's 0.80. So if I take $30 times 0.80, we get a final answer of 24, which is the same thing that we got in method 1. So if this is your first time seeing this, it might be a little confusing, but I'll show you a couple more examples using method 2 so that you have time to get comfortable with it. And the reason why I really want to show you method 2 is because there are times when method 2 makes more sense to solve a problem. And there are plenty of word problems in this lesson, so we'll look at ones where method 2 is the better option. So similar to the first example, now we have an item that's $30, but it's a 20% markup. So if it's marked up, it means that the price is increased by 20%. So I multiply it by 0.20, always changing your decimal, your percent to a decimal, and I have a $6 markup. So now I'm going to add $6 to 30, and my final price would be $36. So maybe the item that you purchase is normally $30, but the cost of materials have increased, and now the price is $36. So this is one way to solve it. Another way we could solve this is, since we always compare percents to 100, and now we have a markup, instead of subtracting 20%, we add 20%. So that I get 80%, which is and this gives me 120%. And as a decimal, that's 1.20 or 1.2. Now when I multiply 30 by 1.2, and add the numbers together, I get $36. So I get the same answer in method 1. Let's look at one more example before we get to the word problems. So if an item is $40 and it's 30% off, method 1 says to take 40 times the discount, multiply them together, and then take the original price and subtract 12, which gives us 28. So a $40 item is now $28. Method 2 says to start with the percent, and since it's 30% off, we subtract 30% to give us 70%, and we take the original amount times 0.70 because we want to write 70% as a decimal, and it still gives us $28. And now we'll look at the percent markup. We have $40 using method 1 times 0.30, and if we look above, we just did this calculation to get 12, but because it's being marked up, we take 40 plus 12, which gives us 52. Method 2 says to start with the percents, so we start with 100%, but because it's being marked up, we add 30% to get 130%, and 130% as a decimal is 1.3. So if I take my amount of 40 and multiply it by 1.3, I should get this amount of $52. So whichever method you use, they both give you the same answer, but as I said earlier, there are times when method 2 will be easier. When you look up the solutions on the answer key, I will have both methods solved for, so you'll be able to see the work for both. But in this video, I'll be using the one in most of the examples that's easier. So the first group of word problems have to do with commission. And commission is money that you make when you make a purchase. So in this example, Nicole makes 8% commission on her makeup sales. If her sales for the week total $1,200, how much will she earn in commission? So if you've ever gone to a store and there are salespeople who ask you if you need help, or when you get to the cash register and the cashier says, "Who helped you today?" what they're doing is they're putting a code in the cash register, and all of the money that you spend on your purchase gets registered under that salesperson, and that person gets a percent of what you spend. So in this example, Nicole earns $1,200. If she makes 8% commission, that means out of the $1,200 that she sold, 8% of it is hers. So 8% of $1,200 is 0.08 times 1,200. We take her commission rate and times it by her sales. We multiply them together, and we get 96. She doesn't make $1,200, she makes $96. The rest of the money that she sold goes to the company. So she earns $96 in commission. For number 2, Sandra works in a shoe store and earns $6.50 per hour plus 3% commission on all sales. So Sandra is getting paid two different ways. She gets an hourly pay, which is $6.50 per hour, and then she gets commission. And her commission is only 3%. So if she works 25 hours in 1 week, so under hourly I'll put a total of 25 hours, and sells $3,500 worth of shoes, she's not getting $3,500, she's only getting 3% of $3,500. How much will she earn that week? So to calculate her weekly salary, we have two different amounts. We have $6.50 per hour times 25 hours that she worked, and then we have $3,500 in merchandise that she sold, and we want to times that by 3%, and 3% as a decimal is 0.03. After we find these two amounts, we're going to add them together. So $162.50 is her hourly pay. And $105 is her commission pay. So the more she sells, the more she'll make. So to find her total amount of money that she earned that week, we take $162.50 plus $105 and we get a total of $267.50. For number 3, Faith sold $650 worth of merchandise and received $45.50 in commission. What was her rate of commission? Rate just refers to a percent. So if we knew her commission rate, we would multiply it by the amount of sales, or the amount that she sold, and that would equal her commission amount. And let's just add to the beginning of this, the commission rate times the sales equals commission amount. So since the commission rate is a percent, we'll write that as x over 100. This is the value that we don't know, so this is our x. Her sales is $650, that's her merchandise that she sold. Commission amount is $45.50. And if I multiply these two together, I have 650x over 100 equals 45.50 over 1. I'd like to cross multiply, but before I do that, I'll cross off the zeros. And then 65 and 10, I can reduce by 5 to get 13 over 2 equals 45.50 over 1, or 13x over 2. And when I cross multiply, I get 13x times 1 is 13x. And 2 times 45.50 is 91. And if I divide both sides by 13, I get x is equal 91 divided by 13 is equal to 7. So Faith's rate of commission is 7%. The next type of word problem involving percents we'll look at are discounts. So we already looked at some earlier. A jacket originally cost $54, and the price of the jacket, we want to find the price of the jacket if it's on sale for 20% off. So just to get some more practice, I'm going to use method 2. So we take 100%, and if it's on sale, we subtract 20% because the price is being lowered. If the price were being raised, we would add 20%. So when we subtract 20%, we get 80%, which is 0.80. I take the original amount of $54, multiply it by 0.80. And once I do this multiplication, I'm finished. So the price of the jacket on sale is $43.20. We'll look at tax later on, but we know that tax would make this price rise, but at least we have what the sale price is. For number 5, a phone is on sale for $140, which is 25% off the original price, and we want to find the original price. In this example, This is where method 2 makes the problem so much easier. So if we know that it's 25% off, that means 100% minus 25% gives us 75%. If we knew what the original price was, we would take 75% times that original price, and that would give us the sale price. But we don't know the original price, so the original price is X. So we have 0.75 times X equals the sale price, which is given, is 140. So if I divide both sides by 0.75, so 140 divided by 0.75, I'm just going to use my calculator for this, but when you check the answer key, you'll see all the division worked out, gives us 186.67. So the original price of the phone was $186.67. For number 6, Mary works in a bookstore and receives a 15% employee discount. How much would she pay for a $29 book if it is on sale for 30% off? So one of my first jobs in high school was working in a kids' clothing store. And that is where I learned that you cannot add the percent of 30% off to 15% off and get 45% off your item. For number 6, we have Mary works in a bookstore and receives a 15% employee discount. So because she's an employee of the store, she gets automatically 15% off of every item. How much would she pay for a $29 book if it is on sale for 30% off? The most common mistake on a question like this is to say that since the book is 30% off and Mary gets her 15% employee discount, that she must get 45% off. But that is not the case. You have to calculate these two percentages separately, and I'm going to calculate them using method 2. So starting with her employee discount, since she gets a discount, I take 100% minus 15%, and that gives me 85%. I take the amount of the book of 29, multiply it by 0.85, because you want to write that percent as a decimal. 29 times 0.85 is equal to 24.65. So if the book was not on sale, this would be Mary's price before tax. But the book is on sale for 30% off. So that means she gets an additional 30% off, but not from the original, from her employee price. So the 0.7 has to get multiplied by 24.65, not the original $29 book. So we multiply it by 0.70. And when we times that by 0.70, we get 17.255. And since we're finding how much she would pay, this represents money, we'll round this to 17.26, $17.26. The next type of percentage problems we'll look at are markup. So we also saw some of these earlier in the lesson. And again, I will go through method 2 again just for practice. A jacket originally costs $54. We want to find the new price if it is marked up. So if it's marked up, we add the percentage to 100, and we get 120%. As a decimal, that's 1.20 or 1.2. And if I take 1.2 times 54, That gives us 64.8. So the new price of the jacket is now $64.80. For number 8, a $100 item is marked up 20%, and then the new price is discounted 20%. What is the final price of the item? Now again, this problem, it looks like the 20% cancel each other out, and so it seems like we're probably back to 100. So for number 8, we have a $100 item is marked up 20%, and then the new price is discounted 20%. Wouldn't it seem that if the item goes up 20% and down 20%, that we're back to 100? That is incorrect. For number 8, we have a $100 item is marked up 20%, and then the new price is discounted 20%. We want the final price of the item. The most common mistake on a question like this is when students see that it's marked up 20% and then discounted 20%, that the percents must cancel out and we're back to 100. That is incorrect because when we mark up an item by 20%, we're then discounting that new price by 20%. So here's how it works, and I will solve this problem using method 2. So let's start with an item that's $100 is marked up 20%. So I take 100% and add 20%, and that gives me 120%, which as a decimal is 1.2. I take 1.2 times 100, and I get 120. So my new price is $120. And it says that the new price is discounted 20%. So when we're discounting, we subtract from 100, which gives me 80%. So I take $120 times 80%, or just times 0.8, and when I move my decimal point over once, I get 96. So the final price of this item is $96. So it does not bring us back to 100 because when we took the 20% discount, we took it out of 120, not out of the original 100. For number 9, a jeweler bought a ring for $500 and then sold it for $2,000. What is the markup of the ring? So if we're finding the markup, that means we're finding a percent. Markup means that percent gets added to 100%. So we're taking 100% plus the markup, and we're multiplying this amount times the original amount, and that's going to give us the new price. So if we take 100% and add it to the markup, this is what we don't know. So that's going to be our x. But because that x represents a percent, we're going to write it as x over 100. Times it by the original, which is 500. The new price is 2,000. Distribute the 500 So 100% as a decimal is 1. Because we're finding the markup as a percent, we want to write that as x over 100, so we don't have to convert it at the end. The original price is 500, and the new price is 2,000. So my 500 will get distributed inside of the parentheses, and we have 500 plus 500x over 100 equals 2,000. The zeros cancel, so I have 500 plus 5x equals 2,000, and I subtract 500 from both sides, and this gives me 5x equals 1,500. And I'll finish this problem on the other side of the page. 5x equals 1,500. Divide both sides by 5, and that gives me 300. And because we were finding a percent, and I wrote my percent as out of 100, I don't have to move my decimal point over. I can just add the percent symbol. So the price of the ring was marked up 300%. Now we'll look at problems that involve tax. So if you have a 6.5% sales tax on a $32 item, what is the total amount that you would have to pay? So using method 2, I take 100% and I add, because sales tax makes the amount go higher, 6.5%, and when I add these two together, I get 106.5%, and when I write this as a decimal, I move my decimal point over 2 places to the left to get 1.065. So I take 1.065, multiply it by 32, and this would be the amount that you pay. So 1.065 times 32 is equal to $34.08. So you would pay $34.08. For number 11, if a $36 sweater is on sale for 15% off, what is the total cost if the sales tax is 7.75%? So you have 15% off, which makes the cost of the sweater lower, but then you have a tax of 7.75%, which makes the item higher. What you can't do is subtract the percentages. You have to calculate them separately. So first let's figure out the discount. If it's 15% off, we want to subtract 15% from 100, gives us 85%. Take 36 times 0.85, and 36 times 0.85 gives us 30.6, so that the sale price is $30.60, and this is the amount that we're going to add the tax to. So if we're adding tax on, we take 100% and add to that 7.75%, and we get 107.75%. Move the decimal point over 2 places to the left to get 1.0775. And so to find the final price, we take 1.0775 and multiply it by 3060. And that product will give us the final price of the item. And when we multiply, we get 32.9715. So the final price is $32.97. For number 12, Denise spent $48.83 on a new pair of shoes. If the shoes are priced at $45, what is the tax rate? So when we're finding the tax rate, we would be taking 100% plus the tax rate. We would take this amount and multiply it by the original amount, and that would give us the final price, or the new price. So 100% as a decimal is 1. The tax rate is what we don't know, and since it's a percent, we want to write it as x over 100. This gets multiplied by the original amount, which is 45, and it's equal to the final price of $48.83. So I take 45 and distribute it inside the parentheses so that I get 45 plus 45x over 100 equals $48.83. To solve for x, I subtract 45 from both sides, and I get 45x over 100 equals $3.83 over 1. And if I cross multiply, I get 45x, and then 100 times 3.83. Anytime you multiply a number by 100, just move the decimal point over 2 places to the right. And when I divide by 45, I take 383 divided by 45, and that gives me 8.5 and then 1 repeating. Since I wrote my tax rate as x over 100, then I don't have to move the decimal point, and I have an 8.5, we'll write this as 8.51% tax rate. For number 13, now we'll start talking about tip. The bill at a restaurant is $26.50. How much is the tip if Richard wants to leave 15%? So 15% of the amount of the bill, which is $26.50. So using method 2, I'll take 100%, so the next group of problems, we'll look at adding a tip. And number 13 says that the bill at a restaurant is $26.50. How much is the tip if Richard wants to leave 15%? Well, when you're finding the tip, we just take 15% and times it by the total cost, which is $26.50. And when I take $26.50 by 0.15, you just want to change it to a decimal. I get 3.975, and with money, we'll round this to $3.98. So 15% is $3.98, but if this were an actual problem, you would leave probably $4. For number 14, before tax, the total bill at a restaurant is $36. The tax rate is 8% and a 15% tip must be added after tax. What is the total amount spent? So we know that a tax rate causes the price to increase For number 14, before tax, the total bill at a restaurant is $36. If the tax rate is 8% and a 15% tip must be added after tax, we want to find the total amount spent. So since both of these percentages cause the amount of $36 to increase, it might seem like we would add these two together. But the reason why we don't add them is because the 15% tip is added after we include the tax. So we have to calculate this separately. Using method 2, I'll find the tax first. 100% plus 8%, because taxes get added, is 108%. And as a decimal, it's 1.08. So if I take the cost of the meal, 36, times it by 1.08, I get $38.88. So this is what the bill would say with tax. But now I want to add a tip. So again, tips cause the amount to increase. So I take 100% plus 15%, which is 115%. And as a decimal, it's 1.15. So if I multiply that amount by $38.88, this gives me 44.712. So the total amount spent at the restaurant, including tax and tip, is $44.71. This last word problem involves time and a half. So number 15 reads, Michael receives $12.50 per hour. If he works over 40 hours per week, then for each hour over 40, he will receive time and a half. So let's look at what that means. His normal hourly pay is $12.50. When he receives time and a half, his rate of pay increases. And there are two ways to find this rate of pay increase. Time and a half means to take his pay of $12.50 and add half of it. Half of $12.50 is $6.25. So that means that when he works over 40 hours a week, he's now getting paid $18.75 an hour. That's one way to calculate it. Another way we can calculate time and a half is we can take his regular rate of pay, the $12.50, and times it by 1.5. 1.5 is just 1.5. So time and a half means 1.5 times your pay. And if we multiply 12.5 times 1.5, we will get 18.75. So regardless which method you use to find the time and a half rate, both ways will give you 18.75. So he's getting paid $12.50 an hour for his first 40 hours a week. Only when he works over 40 does he get this 18.75. So if he works 55 hours in a week, that means for 40 of those hours, he's getting paid $12.50 an hour, And for 15 of those hours, he's getting paid $18.75 an hour. So to find how much money he makes for this week, we take $12.50, times it by 40, and $12.50 times 40 gives us 500. And then we take $18.75 times 15, and that gives us $281.25. So we take these two amounts and add them together. 500 plus 281.25, and this gives us a total of 781.25.